putting your EOS R, R5, or R6 into movie crop mode, is it gonna lower your image quality or reduce your low light capability? Oh man, I gotta fix that. Oh, my bad, I'm sorry. That's right, we were doing a video, weren't we? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the movie crop mode on Canon full frame cameras. So image quality and low light capability in crop mode. That's a very important topic because depending on the answer, it could literally save you thousands of dollars when it comes to choosing lenses. But more on that later. First, let me give you some context. So I used to shoot with the Canon M50, which is an APS-C camera. And I gotta tell you, I love that little camera. I used it for home videos, YouTube, vlogging, and everything else. Now, I didn't upgrade to the EOS R because I wanted the full frame look, as they say. That's not why I upgraded at all, because pretty much in terms of focal length or lens choices, whatever you have available on full frame, you also have available on APS-C. Let's say you really love to shoot at 50 millimeters on full frame. Then if you get a 35 millimeter on your APS-C, it's basically the equivalent of a 50 millimeter on full frame. If you like shooting 35 millimeter on a full frame, then you get roughly about a 20 millimeter on APS-C, and there you go. It's about the same field of view as a 35 millimeter. As far as ultra-wide lenses for vlogging or long-range telephoto lenses for wildlife and birding and things like that, they pretty much got all of that covered in APS-C as well. So you might be thinking, why on earth did you upgrade to a full-frame camera if you mainly plan to use it in APS-C crop mode? Well, the reason I upgraded to full frame wasn't because I wanted to go broke buying up a bunch of expensive lenses. The reason that I upgraded this little bad boy is mainly three things. Better low light performance with less noise in the shadows, a beefier codec for heavy color grading, and 4K with dual pixel autofocus. And for those things, the EOS R is all of that and a bag of chips. My bad, I'm supposed to be on a diet. That was a bad analogy. Forget the chips. So basically, the EOS R has everything I need. Plus, it takes better stills. If I use an external recorder, I can get 10-bit out of it. It has better ergonomics. It has better battery life. And it's weather sealed. And then I got to thinking, if I could put this little bad boy into crop mode and not lose any image quality or low light capability, then why would I spend $6,000 on a whole bunch of full frame glass when I already have APS-C lenses that are going to give me the same results? Now I know what you're thinking. You can't be saying that your $200 little crop sensor lens is going to give you the same video quality as a $2,000 RF full frame lens. Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Let me explain. Now, I'm not saying that the image quality in some of those lenses might not be a little bit better. But what I am saying is that whatever differences you see are going to be negligible. And in some cases, the APS-C lenses are better than the full frame lenses, as is the case with the Sigma 18-35. I've seen people modify the Sigma 18-35 and put specialty focus rings on it to turn it into a cinema lens to be used for making movies. People use it on the C200 or C300 or one of those professional cinema cameras from Canon that have an APS-C or Super 35 size sensor. So back to those RF lenses. What you're really paying for there is three things. The first one being build quality. Those lenses are made mostly of metal, whereas the APS-C equivalents are usually made out of plastic. The second thing you're paying for is weather sealing. All that professional RF glass is weather sealed. So if you like shooting in the middle of blizzards or thunderstorms or sandstorms or whatever your thing is, they got you covered. And the third thing that you're paying for has mostly to do with gas, better known as gear acquisition syndrome. And some people like to buy expensive gear so that they can have bragging rights, and it can also make them feel pro. Now, obviously, if you're a professional and you're making a lot of money with your camera gear and you absolutely have to have the best image quality possible, then in that case, of course, you don't mind spending the money, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie, obviously those lenses are better. In terms of the image quality for video, I don't think that the difference is that drastic. But for professional photography, especially if you're going to be blowing up your images into large size prints, then in that case, a lot of the times, those full frame RF lenses are going to make a big difference. But for filmmaking, to be honest, sometimes you want the image to be less sharp than what it is. People go through the trouble of putting pro mist filters on their lenses to try to soften it up a little bit. So for cinematography, you don't always want that ultra sharp digital look. And like I was saying before, the main value that you're going to get is the fact that the lenses are weather sealed and they have better build quality. So between the three APS-C lenses that I own, I pretty much have every single focal length that I'm going to need covered. I have the Canon 10-18 image stabilized STM lens, which covers everything I need in terms of vlogging, landscapes, real estate, and whatever else needs an ultra wide angle. I got the Sigma 18-35, which is a legendary beast of a lens. It's pretty much my main lens that I use for all of my A-roll plus my B-roll. I got my trusty 55 to 250 millimeter image stabilized EFS lens from Canon. And when you consider the crop factor, that lens right there pretty much gives me up to about 425 millimeters in range. Now check this out. All of those lenses are parafocal, meaning that regardless of where I zoom to, the focus isn't going to change. All three of the lenses are sharp. Colors look good, the autofocus works great, and all I need to be able to use them on my full frame EOS R is a simple adapter from Canon that lets me use EF and EFS lenses on my RF mount. And if I really wanted to get fancy with it, I could get the EF adapter from Canon that has built-in NDs as well. Now here's the thing. For me to go out and buy full frame RF lenses to cover all those focal lengths that I currently have, it would literally cost me over $6,000. Whereas the current lenses that I own only cost me $1,000 for all three. But it's not all just biscuits and gravy either. You know Canon wasn't going to just stand there and let everyone bypass their expensive lenses for these more affordable lenses without trying to bust them in the head with the good old Canon cripple hammer. And in normal Canon fashion, they've done it with the crop mode feature as well. And what it is that they disabled the high frame rates when you use the camera in crop mode. So no 60 frames per second in movie crop mode. But there's a workaround, and I'm going to tell you about it at the end of the video. But for now, what I need you to do is hit that like button if you enjoyed the video so far, and consider subscribing and hitting the little bell icon as well so you don't miss any future content. And also leave a few comments down in the comments section, as it helps with the algorithm so that more people can find the channel. So to make a short story long, I started off on the Canon APS-C camera, the Canon M50, and it had horrible low light. So I just naturally assumed that if you put the EOS R or any other full frame camera into crop mode, it's going to have worse low light performance due to the fact that it's using a smaller portion of the sensor. But actually that's not the case at all. So if you're currently using an M50 or another crop sensor camera, I would seriously consider buying EF and EFS lenses that you can use on your crop sensor camera with an adapter, so that once you do move to full frame, you already have these lenses that you can use, as opposed to having to buy all new lenses, at least to hold you for a while until you're ready to drop the big bucks on them big boy lenses. If you got an EOS R or RP, R5, R6, etc., then you may really want to consider trying out these EFS lenses, because if you're mostly going to be using your gear in the studio and you're not out in the rain where the lens is going to get wet and all of that, then you really might not need to pay 10 times more just to get weather sealing and better build quality. So going back to that Canon cripple hammer issue and how to get around that 60p limitation. Alright, here's the thing. When you put a crop sensor lens on the EOS R, what it's supposed to do, it's automatically supposed to put you in crop sensor mode, thereby making sure you don't have any vignette on the lens, but also making sure that you don't have 60p. Now with third-party lenses, sometimes it doesn't recognize that it's a crop sensor lens. So for example, right now on my 18-35, I could use it in crop mode, and I can also use it as a normal full frame lens. And what happens is I have vignetting, making it unusable up to about 28 millimeters. But after 28 millimeters, the vignette is gone. So basically what I have on my hands is an 18-35 that when I use it in crop mode, it's giving me a 35 millimeter equivalent focal length, and it's giving me about a 50 millimeter equivalent focal length. But if I put it in full frame mode, it's usable as a 35 millimeter, and it has 60p. So if I ever want to shoot slow motion with this lens, then all I do is just take it out of the crop mode, and boom, there it is. Now I have heard that some versions of this lens, the camera automatically recognizes it as an APS-C lens and forces it into crop mode. But I think that has something to do with the firmware or something like that. At least that's the way it is with my copy. And what I've heard is that most third-party lenses aren't forced into crop mode, such as lenses from Tokina and Tamron and other quality third-party lenses. Links in the description to all the crop sensor lenses I talked about, as well as the exorbitantly priced full-frame equivalents. There's also links down there to all the adapters that you're going to need, as well as other studio and camera gear that I find valuable. And remember guys, hit that thumbs up button for the video. Drop a comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that little bell icon so that you're in the know. If the video finished too quick, play it back and put the speed on slow. Make sure to call your mama before she calls you. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. And I gotta run because my job is through. I'm out. Peace.